Acharya Drona in Hastinapur. The proud princes reached the city and informed their father Mahabhishma that today they had met a great warrior, a passionate ascetic. They told that the ascetic had pulled out a ball from the well with the help of reeds only, and after this, first put a ring in the well and then pulled it out with the help of an arrow. On hearing this, Bhishma understood that this amazing miracle was of Maharthi Drona. He himself wanted that now that the princes are growing up, proper arrangements should be made for their education, initiation, archery and the art of war. The news of Acharya Drona's arrival in Hastinapur had given him a demanded gift. Bhishma himself reached the place with Bhima, where a self-respecting Brahman had set up his camp away from the royal ashram. Bhima had food for the Acharya in his hand, and since Bhishma was told that his son was also with him, Bhishma himself came to serve the Acharya with a pot full of cow milk and said to him, "Please Acharya, I, the eldest son of Shantanu, the protector of Hastinapur, have brought this food for your service. O Brahman Dev, please accept it." Placing the food on a clean and high place, Bhishma folded his hands and greeted Acharya Drona. Seeing this scene, Acharya Drona's eyes filled with tears and he said, "I, Drona, the descendant of Angira Muni, the Ayonija son of Mahatma Bharadwaj, salute you." Saying Rajashri Savsti Savsti, Bhishma ordered Bhima, "Go, bring pure water from the river and feed him respectfully." When Bhishma had satisfied Acharya Drona with the appropriate welcome and hospitality, he said to him, "Come, Maharaj, the kingdom of Hastinapur is waiting to welcome you with open eyes. Come with me to the palace. Why have you left your huge, ancient and prestigious ashram and set out on such a shocking journey with your family?" Bhishma asked. On hearing this from Rajashri Bhishma, the Acharya was moved from within. Then his eyes fell on the child Ashwatthama standing nearby, and the ball of milk started dancing in front of him, for which he had left his ashram. Why did Acharya become emotional? Bhishma asked. Taking a deep breath, Acharya Drona said, "This is a long story, Rajashri Bhishma." Having said this, Bharadwaj Drona, the master of archery, the great ascetic, the destroyer of wars of his era, the knower of all weapons, got lost in his past. The peaceful environment of the ashram, the cluster of amazing deodar and many beautiful trees all around, the chirping of various birds, the sunlight, the play of hide and seek of the clouds, the silence of the night, the chirping of the birds, how colorful was the environment of the ashram. Every morning it was as if a god would knock in the east and would illuminate the entire environment with his aura and fill every pore with fragrance. There was excitement everywhere. This was the ashram of Bharadwaj Muni. Everyone knew how calm and gentle the sage was. He never said anything to anyone, whether his work was done on time or not. His disciples were obedient to him. When Muni Bharadwaj used to go to the river for a bath in the Brahma Muhurta, the entire ashram used to become active even before his arrival, and by the time he arrived, everything used to be arranged and ready for Agnihotra. How pleasant the sign of dawn used to feel in the ashram, and how affectionate the nights used to become. In one such precious moment, Maharishi Bharadwaj was going towards the river for a bath, and an extraordinary hypnotism was going along with him. Rays were entering the river stream, and their reflected light was transforming into a fragrant form and was bowing before the sun. Maharishi kept staring. The Kamandalu in his hand started taking dips in the waves of water. Today, the elevated masculinity suddenly awoke and started spreading its hood in his mind. Muni himself was surprised as to what was happening. This had never happened before. A beautiful figure, clothed and carrying fragrance in a bundle, came out of the water. That wet cloth was creating doubt whether it was on the body or had become part of the body. Maharishi was speechless on seeing such a unique beauty. This was Dev Apsara Tritachi. Seeing Bharadwaj as the embodiment of sacrifice and penance, the embodiment of knowledge and the inexhaustible storehouse of virtue, she could not suppress her greed and went to touch his feet. Seeing her, lust arose in some corner of the mind of the extremely disciplined Bharadwaj Muni. In a different mood, Muni lifted her from his feet and brought her in front. That living goddess of shame shivered. Quickly she hid behind a tree and started wearing her clothes. Now Muni was speechless on seeing her. She was Apsara. She could not accept Muni's request, and leaving behind a sentimental smell of memories, she went to Devlok through the sky. That impulse of the Muni had gone out of his control, then the Muni collected it in a trough with the power of his penance. Acharya Drona was thinking, this is my personality, this I, the son born from the same trough, I am Drona, his son born from same aim. Everyone together named me Drona. Mahamuni Agnivesh, knowing me to be a bundle of penance, saying that I got shape from form and smell, made me a complete expert of all the weapons. That Muni Swami Agnivesh was the basis of my ability. Father Bharadwaj introduced me to all the Vedas and Vedangas. One day, he read the lines on my forehead after seeing me and told my father, this boy is very self-respecting and has the power of Raj Yoga. My father's curiosity increased further after hearing this. Then he requested Maharshi to tell something more after looking at his hands. The sage had said, do not ask further, Maharshi, because there will be troubles as well as happiness in his life, but he will enjoy only a little happiness. The sting of self-deception and the betrayal of friends will be the cause of his sorrow. The father said in surprise, what are you saying, Munivar? It is not me, it is his palm lines that are saying, Maharshi. He will struggle for his self-respect throughout his life. His own friend will be his enemy and his lineage will keep pricking his mind like a thorn. His troubles are not so much economic, but mental. He will be tense in Raj Yoga. This mentally deranged child, despite being skilled and proficient in every way in his life, will remain suppressed in such a way that despite having the means to present his side, the circumstances will always be against him. Today Dronacharya was looking into the past in front of Rajashri Bhishma when Maharshi Agnivesh was making his prediction. Then in the form of a child, he was looking at his father's face and thinking, why are these people so worried about me? Don't they know that a man is free only in his actions? The result of his actions is not in his hands. Then the child Drona told the sage, you don't worry. Apart from the lines on my palm, there is a power which is contained in my fist in my right hand, combined with my 4 fingers and thumb. I consider the power of my fist to be greater than the power of the lines. Please do not weaken this power of mine by revealing the lines of fate. I also believe that a person takes the help of fate when his fingers lose their strength. Please give me that knowledge which can create the ability to do something in my hands. Drona was thinking that this is what we have been doing. In the tug of war between the lines of fate and the power of fists, fists win again and again, but the effect of the lines of life never allowed them to experience victory openly again and again. The shadow of a stinging failure always followed them. How lonely was the life of the parallel ashram when Drona was introduced to Prince Yagyasen, the son of the Panchal Raj Parishad. Today people know him as Maharaj Drupda, but where was that Drupda then? He was Yagyasen, the disciple of Bharadwaj Rishi, who had come to the ashram as Drona's classmate. Drupad was shy and Drona was an archer. Drupda was proud and Drona was tolerant and generous. Being a prince, Drupda did not take much interest in studies, and being a Brahman's son, Drona was clever in knowledge and intelligence. That is why Drona always had affection for Drupda. Before Drupda's arrival, Drona did not have any favorite friend, that is why he gradually became introvert. But when that week, innocent and gentle-looking boy came to the ashram to receive education, Drona's heart blossomed with friendship. That is why, despite being stubborn and arrogant, Drona had affection for Drupada. There was no question of conflict between them. Drona had become like a shadow for Drupada. Both of them had learnt fire weapons from sage Agnivesh. Being a sharp-minded person, Drona soon became proficient with practice. But Drupada did not have that dedication, and that is why whenever Drupada was disinterested in studies, got disappointed due to not being able to learn, Drona would make him practice all the same things that sage Agnivesh used to make him practice during his playtime, rest time and prayer time, etc. Similarly, sage Bharadwaj would explain the Vedas, scriptures, religion and ethics and its difficult complexities to Drona and Drupada. It was because of Drona that Drupada also kept moving ahead somehow. This good behavior of Drona created an instant friendship in Drupada's mind. Roaming, studying, playing and practicing together became a part of their student life. They did not even realize when they became boys and girls while studying Vedas and learning weapons, and now they had become full-grown men. By chance, the news of the death of Maharaj Parishad came from Panchal city. In fact, this was a time of great disaster for Drupada. He did not even expect his father's death at such an untimely time. But who can control time? Friend Yagya Sen's education was complete, so anyway, he had to return, even if it was after a few days. But this sudden return was taking the shape of a long uncertainty for him. When Drona saw Drupada's worried state, he consoled him. Now Prince Drupada duly gave Guru Dakshina to Acharya Bharadwaj and took leave from him. In fact, Maharaj Parishad was like a friend to his father Bharadwaj. While taking leave, Drupada felt that a hand was placed on his shoulder. It was Drona's hand. Seeing this, tears came to Drupada's eyes. Getting emotional, Drona embraced Drupada and said while consoling him, "Do not be sad, friend. You are a brave and courageous young man. Time comes to everyone and death is definitely future. Knowing this, do not be sad. Take leave happily and follow your royal duty." Drupada also knew this. Perhaps, but the tears of time were tears of farewell. This is what Drupada had said, and he had said, "You have considered me as your younger brother. I am going to my capital. Do not forget me. Look, I had told you earlier and I am saying it again. You have equal rights in all my kingdom, property and happiness. After my coronation as the king, you will stay with me in Panchal Desh." How easily a prince expressed his inexperience. Because after getting the kingdom, let alone half the kingdom, he had also stopped the annual amount given by the state to the sages' ashram. And how foolish I was, I believed his words. Drona had come to the door of the ashram with sage Bharadwaj to see off Drupada, where the chariot of Panchal Desh was waiting for the prince. How quickly Drupada left. A letter written became unreadable in a single gust of Bharatvarsh. How quickly a person forgets. He was standing there on the first step. Time flies by. Young Drona got married to Kripi, daughter of Maharshi Sharadvan. Both Kripa and Kripi were the children of Sharadvan Muni. Maharshi Sharadvan had mastered the art of weapons through penance. Seeing his proficiency in archery, even Devraj Indra himself felt his seat shaking. Narada was equally active in all the three worlds. When Indra asked Maharshi Narada about this sudden commotion, he clearly told, on the earth, Maharshi Sharadvan is doing severe penance to prove himself. He is well versed and skilled in Dhanurveda. Perhaps this commotion is due to the effect of his penance. Devraj Indra had earlier sent Menka to break Vishwamitra's penance. He appointed Janpadi for Sharadvan Muni. She was ordered that the sage Sharadvan, who is engrossed in meditation in his ashram on earth and wants to prove himself superior to the gods, you have to break his meditation by enchanting him with your beauty and love. We will not face any trouble from the sage who has lost his meditation. After getting the order, the divine Apsara went towards the sage's ashram. Vayu has always been involved in this task. As soon as he came to the sage's ashram, his upper garment slipped and got separated from his body due to the wind. Maharishi Sharadvan started smelling the fragrance of beauty near him while he was doing meditation. When he opened his eyes to understand the condition of his disturbed mind, he found an incomparably beautiful woman standing in front of him. Now the sage started feeling a commotion inside, but after a moment he became aware of his condition. Controlling his disturbed mind, the sage left the bow there and ran away from there to save his property. In this process, his impulse, which was aroused by the heat of his blood, was dissipated. That semen fell on the reeds, and as it fell, it split into two parts. From these two parts, Kripa and Kripi were born. This was also a matter of coincidence. Bharatvanshi Maharaj Shantanu was passing by that time. One of his servants saw two newborn babies sitting on a reed in the forest. With the order of the Maharaja, both the children were taken to the royal palace. Maharaj Shantanu handed over those children to his family guru for upbringing. The prince was the chief minister with. He understood in a moment, these are the same children who were born from the semen of Maharishi Sharadvan. These children grew up in the royal palace as Krip and Kripi. Kripi was well behaved, kind-hearted and hard-working with a service attitude since childhood. Mahamuni Sharadvan also came to know the reality after some time with the power of his penance. Sharadvan Muni, on knowing that these two children are being raised under the protection of Maharaj Shantanu with the family guru, came to Hastinapur and narrated the entire incident to the Maharaj and said, I do not want my children to remain without a name and lineage. Therefore, by revealing this truth, I want that they should be duly initiated and they should receive the complete education of Dhanurveda. Shantanu was very serious and thoughtful. He knew the pain of a father very well. That is why he got them initiated by Maharishi Sharadvan. Acharya Drona was married to Sharadvan's daughter Kripi. It was a coincidence that Drona and Kripi, both husband and wife, were the children of two Maharishi born from a yoni in a state of penance. Sharadvan Muni himself had given away his daughter Kripika in marriage with his own hands, and Drona had accepted her as his wife in the midst of Agnihotra. The sweet flower of marriage had not yet fully bloomed when Maharshi Bharadwaj left this temporary world and went to heaven. The whole ashram seemed to be swaying with him in this ocean of sorrow. Drona's biggest support, the blessing hand on him, was no more. Truly, the pain of father's departure is extremely painful. When father was alive, Drona never had any worries about any arrangement of the ashram. But due to father's untimely demise, the entire responsibility of the ashram fell on Drona's young shoulders. Only then did he come to know that the internal condition of the ashram was very dilapidated. It was also worth thinking that how was the father managing all this till now? There was no permanent fund of the ashram, nor was any revenue received. There was a little land. The families of the people who worked on it were able to survive with great difficulty. Then how will Drona's family be supported? Should he beg? No, this is not appropriate in any way for an Archer Brahman. Then again, at this time Kriti is also carrying the burden of a child in her womb. There must be proper arrangement of food for him, but where will it come from? The disciples were all from small villages nearby. Their condition was very helpless. No one had all the resources. But something had to be done. In this way, Somehow the arrangements were made, and one day Kriti gave birth to a beautiful child in the Brahma Muhurta. The child made everyone happy by roaring loudly like a horse. Drona named the child Ashwatthama. The birth of the child was good news that spread happiness in the entire ashram. But on the other hand, a new evil worry arose in Drona's mind. Now how would the milk and other rearing material be arranged for this child? Right now it was a question of the lives of only two people. Now this third one also came and joined. The sages and saints who had seen Drona's childhood started saying that Ashwatthama was a repetition of Drona's childhood. And in this way, in a mixed condition of happiness and sorrow, the child Ashwatthama also started growing up. Acharya Drona's eyes were still closed, but a few drops of tears rolled down from the corners of his eyes. The next vow was going to shake him completely. He followed the vow of celibacy faithfully, wore matted hair and learned Dhanurveda, became proficient in all types of target reading, became adept and acquired all the knowledge through practice. He learnt the mantra of aiming a single arrow in many ways. He broke many hard stones with the blow of his fist. He stopped the fierce flow of water by extending both his fingers. Even when his father Abraham left for the people, he bore all the pain and unending suffering in his mind. He did not even utter a word. His dear friend Yajnasen returned to his kingdom. Now Drona had only that Agnestra as his formidable companion. And there was the problem of family maintenance. The obstacles on the Vindhyachal road melted him like the scorching sun. The steps ahead would falter many times, but the courage was still there. That is why this journey of life was in constant motion. It was uninterrupted, there was no fatigue, there was full enthusiasm too. But what is this? A single storm scattered all the straws that were ready. The first attack was on the ashram. Now the Agnihotras that were conducted there were no longer as impressive. Most of the ashram residents had scattered here and there. This center of proper education had come to a state of human crisis. A lush green garden started looking like a desolate forest in no time. Drona had put in so much effort, somehow this garden remained as beautiful as it was during his father's time, but everything slowly started becoming desolate. It started looking as if a terrible and strong tree was uprooted from its roots in a storm and all its flowers fell on the ground and became dirty. After his father's death, Drona kept trying unsuccessfully to remain absorbed in meditation despite all these worries. But just as the leaves on a tree become very few in the autumn season, gradually the disciples also started leaving in the same way. The entire garden slowly became desolate. The cowsheds became empty, the income from farming also became negligible. The royal credit that this ashram always got also almost ended. When the princes stopped coming here, how would the state support come from? Then how long would the ashram's funds last? Acharya Drona had not yet spread his hands in front of anyone. Till now, he considered taking donations as his duty like a Shudra. So, perhaps he would get donations according to his religion. Thinking this, one day Drona left that ashram and left the entire management to the ashram residents who had been looking after the system since his father's time. Drona left the ashram. Kriti silently followed him. The family was walking with him. He went from one village to another, then to the third, crossed many villages, crossed many mountains, but nothing was gained. The dreadlocks on his head became a little more dense. The facial hair also grew. The brave man started appearing trapped in the clutches of war and shock at a young age. Now the child Ashwatthama could walk on his own feet. That was a village like that. A river along the banks was introducing the village's charm with its cool flow. Huge trees, lush green fields were themselves indicators of prosperity. There were so many families, everyone had 22 to 24 cows tied in their houses. Drona felt that after a lot of hard work, one gets success. Knowing this, Drona spent that night in the open sky near the village. The morning light spread. The sun's rays were reflected from the east, spreading the charm of the dance of the beautiful women. Drona saw that animals were being milked everywhere. There was a milk fair in every house. This was indeed a prosperous village, but what was this? No one even talked to the unknown visitor. No one asked for introduction, neither name nor village, nor address. It seemed that everyone was behaving indifferently, as if no one had come. Children were giggling in their mother's lap, asking for milk and drinking it. Drona looked at his son Ashwatthama standing nearby with innocent eyes. He also joined the children. But what was this? Those children did not ask him for milk even after knowing that he had come, but to tease him, mocking his hunger, fed him rice starch. And the irony is that despite this, the child Ashwatthama happily ran to his mother's lap and said, "Today I have drunk cow's milk. I have also drunk cow's milk. Father, I have drunk cow's milk." I was feeling a pang of pain deep inside. I was familiar with the child's innocence. But then I saw that from a distance, they were laughing at this act of the child Ashwatthama. They were very impudent children. They broke whatever little heart was left in Ashwatthama's heart. They started showing him the rice and saying, "Look, what a fool he is. He thinks rice starch is cow's milk." And they started telling him through signs, "Look, this rice is my cow." And I kept crying tears of blood, sometimes seeing the insolence of those children and sometimes seeing the innocent mute figure of my son. "Oh son, you are not destined to have even a sip of cow's milk." Then I felt that these Vedas, Vedangas, this knowledge, this Dhanurveda, this Acharyaship, all this is useless. When your arrow cannot produce even a drop of nectar, which can quench the thirst of this child, after drinking which he can dance happily. But even imagining such a thing is useless. This entire arrangement went in vain. He could not find any ashram anywhere, and finally, being helpless, Drona returned to his ashram with his wife and son. At least here, no one will mock him for his lack of resources. It had been only a few days since Drona had returned to the ashram that he got the encouraging news that Mahatma Parshuram was donating everything he had to the best Brahmins, and anyone who wanted could ask for anything he wanted from him. This news gave support to Drona like a drowning man clutching at a straw, and Drona once again went to Parshuram with a resolve. Kriti was also confident that Maharishi Parshuram would surely find some priceless thing at his place that would solve his problems. Everyone knew that Parshuram was an expert in ethics, proficient in Dhanurveda, and knew Divyastra. He had a lot of wealth that he had won. Drona wanted both sides. He wanted, and this was his desire, that from the viewpoint of knowledge, he should get the knowledge of Dhanurveda from Mahatma Parshuram, and some arrangement should be made for the maintenance of the family and children. That is why after consulting Kriti, he went to Parshuram with the desire to get wealth and knowledge from him. That ashram situated in a huge courtyard on Mahendra mountain was shining like the sun, full of its divine splendor. When Parshuram saw Drona in front of him, he became hesitant for a few moments and said, "O great Brahman, you have come very late. Whatever I had, I have distributed it all. All the land, wealth, gems, gold, now I have nothing left. Now I have only this body and weapons." Drona felt that he was separated once again, but gathering courage he said to Mahatma Parshuram, "O great Guru, I have come from such a far-off place to seek your refuge. What if I have no money left? Please give me your knowledge, divine arms, weapons and the secret of their use." Amen. Parshuram was stunned. Seeing Drona's skillful grasping power, Acharya Drona mastered all the impossible and possible weapons with little effort. He learnt all the tricks and tactics that are necessary for efficient warfare. Guru Parshuram blessed Drona with infallible weapons and went for penance, and Drona, having acquired the knowledge of weapons, stood there like a statue for a few moments. He had a huge problem in front of him. No matter how beautiful the waterless clouds are, their collision, movement or speed cannot quench the thirst of the earth in any way. He was thinking, what will I do with this knowledge of weapons? How will I feed my family now that I am penniless? From where will I bring food? There was despair all around. Should I accept shelter in someone's kingdom? As soon as he thought this, Yajnasen suddenly flashed in his mind. Oh, I have spent so much of my life in pain. I have not even realized how great a king my friend Drupada, the king of Panchala, is. Now I must definitely go to him. Drona remembered that while leaving, Yajnasen had said, Drona, I am a prince. You come to Panchala at the time of my coronation. My kingdom's glory is as much yours as mine. Drona, after receiving knowledge from Maharishi Parshuram, returned to the ashram and started making up his mind to go to Drupada's place. After much thought, he once again gathered courage to tell Kriti what was on his mind. Why would Kriti have any objection to this? Because there was a possibility of ending poverty. Seeing his mother so happy, Ashwatthama also became happy. It seemed that the possibility of meeting without meeting had filled a new enthusiasm in his life. Now, after arranging for the necessary material for the journey, Drona, along with his wife and child, decided to travel to Panchal Pradesh, our friend's city, friend's kingdom. With the feeling of everything being his own, Drona kept walking without feeling tired on the way, and finally Drona reached his destination. The enthusiasm in his mind dominated all his fatigue. In the capital of Drupada, he saw all the citizens very happy and contented. In this excitement, he said to the gatekeeper, Go, servant. Inform your king that your close friend, the son of sage Bharadvaj, has come here with his wife and child from his ashram, suffering great hardships, to meet you. Drona was confident that his dear friend, on hearing his words, would come running to meet him. But the gatekeeper returned alone and informed, O Brahman, the king is very busy. You wait a little. He will definitely meet you in a little while. This news shattered Drona's enthusiasm like a glass mirror, and its broken pieces transformed from Drona and entered the inner being of Kriti. The child Ashwatthama was unaware of this inner pain. How could he know that the enthusiasm of his father, who had come here, suffering the hardships of the journey and kicking up dust, flew away like a waterless cloud in the gust of wind? To satisfy his mind, Drona thought, perhaps the burden of state affairs is too much, and due to the victory of duty over emotion, he could not give importance to relations. Just then a gatekeeper came and called out, Who is Brahman Drona? Tell me, it is me. Come, the king has called you along with your family. And then Drona, taking Kriti and Ashwatthama with him, reached Drupad's palace. That beautiful palace was like Indrapuri in its splendor, with a door made of gold studded with gems, was decorated with beautiful utensils and clothes at many places, and Maharaj Drupada was seated on the throne right in front. Drona bowed to Maharaj Drupada emotionally. But what is this? Drupada did not move even a bit to welcome Drona. He remained sitting on his seat and was looking as if he had seen us for the first time. In fact, this behavior of Drupad seemed very unfamiliar. Drona was surprised. Is this Yajnasen himself? Does he not know that I am his friend, the son of sage Bharadvaj and his favorite brother? Still, being patient, Drona said, Maybe Maharaj did not recognize me. Both of them had spent their lives together under the shadow of the sacred affection of Mahabhag Agnivosh in the ashram of sage Maharshi Bharadvaj. Even after seeing Drona in such a thoughtful posture, Drupada said, "Tell me, how did you come here, Brahman? Are you well?" Then Kriti presented the bundle of fruits she had brought with her to Maharaj and said, "Please accept them, Maharaj, these are the fruits of the same field that you had planted." Addressing Drona, Drupada said, "I do not have time for these useless things. We must have been friends in childhood, must have planted trees, must have studied together. What you are calling friendship, don't you know what friendship a king has with a Brahman? Friendship is made with equals. And with age, the feeling of friendship changes, it gets added to a new equation. You have come here, stay here, eat royal food and ask for whatever you want. You are my old friend, that is why I respect you. Please do not engage me in useless talks." And then calling his minister, Drupada said, "Go, feed the Brahman and his family. Perhaps he has been hungry for a long time. It does not look good for a Brahman to remain hungry in a king's house." The tables turned here. When Kriti saw this insult of her husband, tears came to her eyes. Drona's heart was burning with grief and remorse. It was as if a flame of fire would burst out from inside. "Drupada Raja, you have become proud of being a king and you have forgotten the common etiquette. This friend traitor, this kingdom and wealth will also end just like the feeling of friendship in your heart. Today you have pierced the Brahman's heart with arrows of insult." And then it seemed as if Drona's anger took over. Flaming like a comet, Drona said, "It was my fault, it was my mistake that I considered you worthy of friendship." And Drona suddenly remembered the words of Maharishi Bharadvaj when he saw Drona being more confident about his friend. He had said, "Son, don't trust your friend so much. This prince is still naive. He will not be so naive after attaining power. Do not be so confident about him that you get disappointed later." Drona was thinking that the sage was right. Drona's attachment had been broken. He had come so far from his ashram only on the belief that his friend Yajnasen would surely help him in this miserable condition. But this Drupada is sitting on the throne. This is not that Drupada, this is his ghost. Does a person really become so arrogant after becoming a king that he forgets his childhood friend? This strange behavior of Drupada was becoming unbearable for both the husband and wife. Is he a naive Brahman? His intellect is still immature. Should they have hesitated in accepting Drupada as a friend? Was it necessary to know that a king has no friends, and if he has, then the king himself is the friend? Does that feeling of friendship of student life become an innocent memory after becoming a king? How strange all this was going to seem. But Drona was seeing his own friend's blood turning white. And with the imagination with which they had come here, they had not even imagined that they would have to face such a situation. They would have to return immediately. The child Ashwatthama was looking absent-mindedly while holding his finger. He had never seen his father so angry before. Today he was also surprised. Trying once again to overcome this unwanted situation, Drona said to Drupada in very polite words, "Rajan, this is not the time to joke. Have you really forgotten your childhood friendship? You used to say that, friend, remember me in times of need, my kingdom, wealth, property, everything will be dedicated to you. And he said, today you are refusing to accept me as your friend. It seems that the pride of the kingdom is making you arrogant. Oh Brahman, don't be upset and leave the matter of friendship and come straight to the point that what do you want? If you wish, you can stay as my guest for a day and eat whatever you like in the dining hall, or if you have any other wish, you can tell me. I can give you money as per your requirement. But you are repeatedly calling yourself my friend by giving the excuse of friendship. Then listen, friendship happens between equal classes. You are poor and I am rich. How can there be friendship between you? You should stop this rant of yours. Now Drona lost his patience. It was not possible for Drona to bear so much insult. He decided that till Yajnasen does not realize his strength, his pride will keep getting humiliated. Therefore, he took a vow, from today I will live only so that I can take revenge of my friendship from my friend betrayer Drupad and make him realize his reality. This coming out of Drona's mouth was like a curse. Today he had decided that he will take revenge from Drupad. The concept of life and the result of Yajnasen's vow had now come in front to answer for his actions. When Drona started to return from there with Ashwatthama, Drupad said, "Where are you going?" "Drupad, I will never forget the way you made fun of my friendship in childhood. From today my life is dedicated to taking revenge for this insult of yours." After saying these words, Drona left from there and Drupad thought, "What harm can this Brahman do to me? Leave him on his own." And when they reached their kingdom, Kriti also said, "I knew that Drupad will do the same. But now what to do? It will be up to you to decide." If you like the story, then subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories.